right, not even gonna try to pronounce it wrong or whatever. Let's just dive into the IMDb plot here and see what's going on. Follows a student of nursing palliative care who is plagued by the drama of her past that has a disorienting effect on her present, her relationship, her career, and her ability to function. All right. Sounds, not trying to laugh at her, but sounds like she's a bit of a mess. And that may or may not make for a good horror movie. We'll have to find out. So let's see. This one is a new one on Shudder. It is, from Ireland. I see that's where it was. That's what I was looking for. I guess is considered a foreign film on Shudder. So it's new. So we'll try to kind of keep this spoiler free. I don't know huge twists and turns here. I guess once I kind of explain what's going on, kind of keeps the vibe of the film and what is happening here. But let's see. So early on we get an introduction to her and her job and who she is and so forth. She is, as it mentions there, and I think they make it fairly clear at the beginning. This is kind of early in her job and so forth. She gets sent out for this assignment, and kind of as she does, you kind of also know that maybe this is there's something off about this assignment. It's not going to go as smooth as you would have thought, and or she thought. And she gets to this house. It's dark and creepy, and this elderly lady kind of comes to the door, doesn't really open the door for her, doesn't trust her, and says a couple of odd things, but that's her assignment. She's there to take care of her, check on her, and so forth. So she basically breaks into the house in order to get into the house to introduce herself to this elderly lady here, and kind of befriend her in a way and get her to accept her staying. So they have obviously a awkward introduction. The elderly woman is not gonna. It does allow her to eventually stay, obviously, but doesn't really trust her, and trust is going to have to be earned. Obviously, there's something going on with this elderly lady. She obviously needs care. She's obviously needs help. But obviously, there's something else going on in the surrounding town around her with the people that are around her. As the caretaker here finds out when she goes into town and tries to buy some stuff and maybe get some support in what her time there. Some people act a little bit odd to her, maybe not too happy that someone from the outside is there, and obviously maybe not too happy that maybe she's staying at this house. I guess one of the easiest thing to say about the film is there are a lot of odd things are going to happen, a lot of strange things are going to happen. You're going to wonder, is it real? Like I said, is the attitude of those people towards her really weird, really real, or is that just the kind of way she's taking it? There's another time when another, I guess here it's called social work. It's a social worker. I don't know what they use over there, but I guess it would be something similar to that. Kind of comes to the house to check on the elderly lady and the caretaker here, and to make sure that she's doing her job and make sure the woman's there, and it takes on a very odd course of events. And kind of tilts in a direction to make you think maybe a certain thing is happening. I won't mention it, but you're not really sure. Is that happening? Is this really happening, or is this just the way one of the two is kind of seeing it, or both of them? So it's just a lot of odd things happening. So as the film goes on, obviously you're going to see that the relationship between the elderly lady and the caretaker you know, they seem to bond a little bit at times, and then they break away. And you know, I think at the beginning you get that, you know, the problem is a lot with the elderly woman because she's very strange from the start. But then as the film goes on, you see that the caretaker here is battling her own issues and having her own issues, and you know, that's, you know, causing a problem for her and causing a problem in the house. And you know, you already have an elderly lady here who's not so entrusting, or you're not sure what's going on with her. So yeah, I would just say, you know, to me, this is one of those movies that is just very odd and strange. Um, does have a level of creepiness to it, just because of the oddness and the strangeness to it. You know, you know, it does, you know, pick up with the intensity of that as the film goes on. You know, there's this really strange door that rattles a lot, and you know, you're kind of wondering, you know, what the hell is going on with that door? Is someone on the other side? What's on the other side? Should they go in it, open it? What is happening? So that kind of gives you something to be curious about. You know, they don't overdo it with the door, but they show it enough that you're kind of like, what's going on with this door? But just, yeah, just it's just one of those movies where you know, both of the characters here end up in a place and are kind of facing, you know, their own personal demons and seeing all kinds of weird stuff and creep. Some of it's creepy, some of it's weird. You know, some of it, you know, means something to each of the characters, and some of it, you know, is just kind of crazy for the audience. You know, I don't know. You know, I've seen, you know, some of these kind of movies. You know, this might, you know, kind of tend towards the line of you know, obviously, you know, mental health, dementia, that kind of thing. You know, I don't know if the film necessarily was trying to make a point, not making a point, making an issue or not, about that, and trauma and so forth, and how that affects your mind and so forth. I'm not really clear if that's where you know, they were really trying to make a point or just using that for horror or whatever. But we've seen, you know, some of these movies in the last couple of years to kind of go that route or use that as a way to kind of build up the horror and so forth. You know, I think it helps if you really, you know, get into the characters and you really, you know, feel something for them. And I don't know, you know, because it was a little bit weird and odd, and I don't know if it's because maybe it's a foreign film too, that, I don't know, I never really felt that necessarily connection between either of them. Maybe, you know, there is a point or two that maybe with the caretaker, you know, I could sympathize with, you know, a few of the things, but, you know, at the end of the day, I don't know. I didn't know if I really gravitated to either of them. It just kind of seemed like, you know, a lot of just weird things, you know, just, you know, picking up the pace with the weird things as it goes. And I'm, you know, not even sure, you know, what, you know, where we were going and what was truly happening here, you know, amongst everything. So, just ended up being, you know, just to me, a strange, weird film. You know, you know, I think that if you maybe get into the characters, you really like them for you know, one way or the other. Maybe that may be missing a little bit and giving you time to really care for them, so that once they start kind of seeing these weird things, you really hope that they can break off from it. But I certainly think that this, you know, there are some of you guys out there that like this kind of movie that kind of just gets into really, you know, creepy, bizarre, you know, mind trauma kind of things. And, you know, we've seen some, you know, some movies make really good use of that and make a good horror movie out of it. You know, they aren't necessarily always my type of horror. You know, and you know, if they can kind of get a good, you know, semi-good jump scare or a really good creep out of me, you know, something that I can kind of remember or stands out a little bit, you know, then I might be a little bit more towards it. But I don't know, this one, you know, as it kind of built and just kept, you know, piling on the weirdness, I don't know, it just never really grabbed me, never really hooked me, never really, you know, got me, you know, super interested, super into it. But again, it might have a place for some of you out there, because I know that some of the ones that I reviewed that maybe kind of a similar, that I kind of mentioned before, similar in theme and so forth, that, maybe I wasn't completely sold on. I know a lot of people liked. And maybe, like I said, because, this kind of horror might be for you. So, that, is my best way to explain this. This might be for you, but it wasn't totally for me. So with that, I think I'm just going to give this one 2 pools of blood, and kind of leave it at that. Again, this one I believe is coming to Shudder, and in April, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. Probably put this out hopefully around the time it was released. So I don't think I really spoiled too much or anything for you. So hopefully you guys that kind of enjoy this type of horror will enjoy this maybe a little bit more than I do. Not that it was a bad movie, just wasn't feeling it that it was for me. So that again is 2 pools of blood out of 5. And with that, horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews, written and video. Certainly tons of video reviews for a while now, so you can like, subscribe, and do everything else that everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook information down below. Likes and follow there as well. Talk horror, this movie, other movies. And definitely in the comment section, if you guys really enjoyed this one, feel free to throw that in there, what you liked about it, or if you're kind of like me and just wasn't for you, feel free to put that down as well. And with that, I'll catch you in the next review, horror fans.